Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to DeFi Daily. We've got a special episode here for you today. The two founders of DeFi Daily, myself, game theorist, and Wody, going back and forth today on the future of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, a little bit about the NASA space race, and more. We've got an exciting one, bit of a different format, long form, half-an-hour podcast edition, nonetheless, so I think you'll enjoy it, so stay tuned.
Research, so many man hours, so much money, so much natural resources to throw something up into space that can be used once.
Right, and then not
because
even really
dude, in the name of national security, bro, you just roll with it. It doesn't matter. You can get more funds. Being resourceful when it comes to the taxpayer dollar, it's not part of the equation, and that's why they had to go to the private sector, because the private sector has to worry about their bottom line. Elon Musk had to come up with a rocket that landed its fucking self, that was reusable, to be more sustainable, and then here we are. So the same governments, dude, are the ones controlling our currency. You take away that government regulation of the currency, and then you have crypto, something that's just fucking matches the technology of the times. You can transfer assets around the globe instantaneously. Versus the ACH, dude.
Dude, I think that I read this. I read this article. Where was it? Let's see. Largest Bitcoin transaction here. This is a couple days ago. $1 billion.
Could you imagine, dude?
Cost $3.
Could you imagine having the balls to send a $1.15 billion BTC fucking transaction? You know how many times I check my wallet that I'm sending it to?
Dude, I would like memorize that address.
I would memorize it, dude.
I'd have it tattooed on my arm.
Dude, I would have like 17 monitors, dude. I'd have people like on headphones. It would be,
yep,
dude,
confirmed. The next letter is.
Dude, it would be a NASA landing the thing on the moon operation as I fucking send the 1.15 billion from wallet to wallet. Okay, I would be radioing like, all right, like, do we have fucking clearance? Like a team. Meanwhile, people are just doing that. Like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Decentralized.
Oh man, yeah. Golly, and I think so. It happened. It took. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I think, for that, and $3 to transfer. And I think that's like a important, Bitcoin sounds like this amazing thing when you move $1 billion at $3. But it sucks when you're trying to move 5 cents and it costs $3, right? So I think that there's totally a value, maybe there's not just like the one blockchain to rule them all, just like there's no currency right now to rule them all. I mean, while I'd say most would argue the dollar, right, is the one to rule them all. I mean, there are other currencies, right? Like they all exist.
It's only fitting. It's so fitting if you ever spend time and research the history of money and the people that have tried to change money, notably JFK, who came out with the treasury note backed by silver, a direct competitor to the Federal Reserve US dollar that had the gold standard abolished. Obviously, JFK didn't end well for him. He's not the only person in history that has tried to change systems of money in societies that became a casualty. So how fitting is it that the first technology to change money on the planet is fucking Satoshi Nakamoto, some fucking anonymous guy, right? Like, that's what it took, dude. That's what it took to create a new system, to create Bitcoin. Was nobody even knows who did it. Nobody even wants to take the credit, right? Because throughout all of history, everybody who modernized money systems were murdered. They were taken out, right? They're like, if people think that there's no force behind trying to keep money controlled in the banks in the way that it is, like, dude, there's epic forces, dude. There's epic forces. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, dude. It just goes on and on and on. So of course the creator of Bitcoin is anonymous, of course. And it's just like so ironic that one technology has created Ethereum, has created the tokenization. Now we have DeFi, a smaller segment of crypto. It's just ironic that Bitcoin created it all. Created it all. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
man. Have you ever read the full Bitcoin white paper?
Who has? I actually, well, I've skimmed through it, but I haven't read it word for word.
I've read it and I don't understand. Like I've read it because it's not that long. Like this is it. You know, it's only
Yeah,
eight. It's
yeah,
literally 7 pages,
yeah,
and
right,
like 3 pages are just like equations.
right.
But I mean, I don't. I wish I could say I understand it better, but I mean, I still. I mean, I still don't understand exactly. I mean, I know that like basically like the public. There's like it's a function, right? And it's essentially like think like a JavaScript function, and the function has two parameters. One is the public key, and which has to be signed by the private key in order to verify the transaction. So like you can view the transaction, but you can't authenticate or sign it. And it's built upon this whole idea of preventing double spending by having to redo this like proof of work. So basically like the longest and you could essentially fake the chain, but you would have to also fake every single transaction before it. So the longer the chain gets, the harder and more computationally intensive it becomes. I think that's like the gist of it. But like I mean, what is a Merkle tree?
And here's a good point. So whenever you go to invest in a project, so many people are just willing to blindly throw money into something and not even have the first clue or inclination to open the white paper. And then once like, by the time you see an asset mooning, it's
Too late.
never a time to jump. It's too late, right? Because you already had to do the research. You already had to read the white paper. You already had to have the project on your radar. You already had to have been tracking it, right? Now there's an element of luck to this, of course. You can get lucky and win the pancake swap lottery, right? And win $50,000 and stake that at 1.4% on beef or whatever, right? There's luck to it, but what I'm saying is like investing in crypto without doing the proper research into the actual technology or even trying to understand the technology is only going to be a recipe for disaster. And that's how the people that are driving around in Lambos are driving around in Lambos, because so many people are willing to blindly invest. So you bring up a great point with the Bitcoin white paper. How many people are investing in altcoins to the millionth degree that haven't even read the Bitcoin white paper? I'm one of them.
Read the Bitcoin.
I'm one of them.
Right.
I'm one of them, and I'm willing to say it. I've skimmed through it. Yeah, I skimmed through it. I saw the equations, and I was like, I'm stopping right here.
Right.
I don't know about equations. Equations are wild. I can't. I don't remember that. So
yeah, it's talking about RAM and Moore's law and all this thing. I'm just trying to talk about money, But
right.
I think like, yeah, no, I mean it's a great point. Like I've read it, but I haven't fully read the ETH white paper, and which is Cosmos is forked off of that, and all of these other ones are forked off that. Dude, I've got so much money in these things that I truly would like to delude myself with saying that I understand, but
timing is everything. Timing is everything, and you couldn't have foreshadowed the you could not have foreshadowed with Bitcoin if the timing was right in your life when you stumbled upon this technology, which for me, it was way too late. But let's say my timing was right. You could not have foreshadowed by reading this how it would have been received, but the technology, it seems to me, spoke for itself. Like you couldn't have debated the utility. You could have only debated the reception.
Right, like how was it going to catch on? But the sequence of events that occurred.
Right, but what I'm saying is like I would have easily thrown $1,000 into this and had like I know everyone says that, but whenever people are trying to, so people that are new to crypto, right? They're trying to like look at these projects and research these projects, and they're trying to find the utility. That's what we're trying to do now is find the utility, and it's just the amount of money that I'm investing in these different projects now is like insane. So like, would I have done the same to Bitcoin if the timing was right? I'm making the argument I would have.
Right.
Hindsight is 2020, but I mean, if I would have saw this and saw that the technology actually worked, I would have definitely put $1,000 into this, no problem, because I could have lost $1,000. And the people that did make money off of Bitcoin, the timing was right for them,
right.
And they saw the utility and they saw that it worked. and they bet on the reception. And who would have known it would have changed money as we know it?
Right, and it's only just beginning, right? Because I mean, look, this in the last month, we've had two major U.S. publicly traded companies announce Bitcoin as a treasury holding, like as in their a cash alternative to facilitate payments. We had Square and PayPal enable these PayPal. Like, you know, we were talking about PayPal earlier, like PayPal. And it's only just beginning. This week, we had Coinbase launch the Coinbase debit card. Now you get paid up to 4% cash back spending your USD coin. So, I mean, it's like, it is happening so fast. And so,
And this is one of those things, and I apologize to interrupt, but this is one of those things where if you don't adopt, like, it's like a computer, man. It's like a computer. You know, computers came out and people that never use a computer, some people died without using a computer. But like some people had at some point be like, okay, my entire job function is going to be now on a computer. And they had to adapt, they had to adopt. And it's the same thing with crypto. Like it or not, it's going to become the future. Whether or not the dollar catches on or whatever. So like the fact that we made Seems Legit the community 2 years ago or whatever it was, you know, we knew that something was going to happen. And then me personally, I kind of stepped away from crypto, and naturally it's only evolved, right?
right.
I never should have stepped away in the first
Same,
place. Like
same.
I turned my back on it, but now we have DeFi, right?
And
DeFi is a relatively new movement. Now we have Ethereum 2.0. So like it or not, it's here to stay, right?
I completely agree.
The more you understand it, the more you adopt it, the more you invest in it, the earlier, the better.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when we started Seems Legit a couple of years ago in the YouTube channel that we have now, and I mean, I believed in crypto, and I think part of that just comes from me being, you know, an economics background, and also me loving computers, and you know, the combination, and just being exposed to Bitcoin when I was, you know, in college, like, you know, much younger than most, and like, you know, you as well, and you know, but I still, like, even in 2017, 2018, I mean, I didn't really dump any of the Bitcoin that I had, but I still wondered, and I think part of it was because of the fact that the price went up so much so quickly that I was skeptical, even though I believed in the technology. I couldn't believe with my own I just couldn't believe it, that like this thing was going to replace and change the world for the better. But a lot of things have happened over the last 3 years, and I think part of it is Bitcoin's matured and the institutional adoption has been much better received. But not only that, but I've matured and my viewpoints have changed, and I you know, and the world has changed. And now, you know, with the Fed doubling down on printing, you know, money printing, and I can no longer ignore it. And, you know, I don't have like a Bitcoin price target. I really don't. I don't, but I think it's higher than what it is now, because people are asking me, what should I be doing? Should I be buying Bitcoin? And it's different than it was a few years ago. People are taking it more seriously now, and they're asking because people are waking up and seeing that it's not just about the price going up, but it's also about the utility. And I think that's one of the coolest things about DeFi, is because it provides an application for your money, not just a holding, you know, a wishing for the price to go up. It actually gives you uses. It gives you a way to spend and lend, not just buy and sell.
So I'm going to go back to the fact that the creator of Bitcoin is anonymous, right? Would you believe that this was created by one person, or this was some type of like, you know, CIA project or some type of government project by multiple people, and the intended purpose was going to be different? Think about it like this, right? When Bitcoin was first explained to me, this is how it was explained to me. And this is back probably, I don't even know how many years ago, let's say 5+ years ago, minimum. It's first explained to me, right? It was okay, so you have a deflationary system, a finite amount of Bitcoin. And the way that you get more Bitcoin is by solving equations.
Mm-hmm.
You solve equations, and then that gives you a reward. and it gets exponentially harder. And I think the way it was explained to me is that if you're an early adopter, you can mine with a shovel. This is exactly how it was explained to me actually. You can mine with a shovel, but if you get into Bitcoin late, you're going to need a whole
A bulldozer, yeah.
bulldozer, an excavator, right?
Excavator,
But
right.
but but this is the first thing that popped into my mind. The first thing that popped into my mind was it's going to constantly challenge computational power
Right.
at the same time of so now that it's changed money as we know it, how ingenious was it that it also created a bar of like processing power. Pull up a graph of the hash rate that exists on the planet, right? Like once Bitcoin is nearing complete. I mean, we just talked about the fact that the reward system halved in June or whatever, right? So like what's the next half going to be, right? Halving or whatever. And the total hash rate, right? So it created like necessity. So this is what 2020 right here. Look at all time. So that's what I'm talking about. Not only did it become more and more complex each block, but it also made it very profitable for pure computational power to now the point where the hash rate is just. So I guess my point is, as the rewards become more finite, the network difficulty exponentially increases. Like they're indirectly correlated, right? One goes the supply goes down, the difficulty goes up. So that creates like a space race of technology. That creates like, so now we're on our graphics cards, right? With Ethereum. That created the graphics card became the new mining thing, right? Because it has all these different cores, right? So it's just very interesting how crypto itself took currencies and it took technology and just that effect. You know what I mean? It's very ingenious. So that's why my point naturally the founder is anonymous, right? Because it doesn't necessarily have to be one person. It could be a group of people. I don't know any one person living that could have possibly envisioned what Bitcoin was going to do. Here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, and here we are. Yeah, I've just been fooling around with these different charts here looking at. So I think, yeah, the difficulty chart here is what we were looking at. And you can see this is just, I mean, look, 1 to 20 trillion. The 20 trillion. This was 8 years ago, right? It was a million, and now it's 20
That's what I'm saying. So
trillion.
literally with your processor at the beginning, you could have been solving
Right.
blocks.
I mean, yeah, we could, with the processor today, obviously, they didn't exist 10 years ago, but I mean, goodness, like the,
I just and look, sorry to interrupt, but to
yeah,
kind of like take these random points and kind of put them all together. I feel like we're at a crossroads right now in society in general. We have the world reserve currency, the dollar. We have America standing kind of in question. We have China as what Biden would call a major competitor, not a foe, but a competitor. So, you know, we're just at this major crossroads with the election on November 3rd. We're the weekend before the election, and what Trump appears to stand for. All these different things. And then you pull up this chart. Trump was elected 2016. Look at the network difficulty of Bitcoin. Not saying that there's any correlation. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. When
what
you
a
add up,
day.
when you add up all the events, all I'm saying is like,
There you go.
it's just
Halloween
I
four
just
years
yeah,
ago, right there.
right.
Look at that.
So
Ah!
so like this is a great way to explain like how fast changing things are. And then we talk about Ethereum, then we talk about tokenization, then we talk about DeFi being relatively new. We're talking about you could take $10 of liquidity and earn interest on it, right? I mean, it's just an interesting time to be alive, to say the least.
It is, dude. And I think that the fact that what's exciting to me is that I feel like the United States has always been such a closed off economy, and Trump is kind of trying to bring us back there, but crypto is borderless, and it allows the open economies to work in a much more efficient way, and I feel like that is the U.S.'s only option is to work together with the rest of the world and solve the
So
changes that we're facing together. I mean, it
so
sounds very hokey pokey, but
right.
I
It
think it's
feels
true.
like it feels like we're recording a video right now, even though we never said we would. If this was a video, it should be titled "Cryptocurrency is Freedom of Money." You have freedom of speech, right? You have, different freedoms. Crypto became freedom of money, decentralized money, because it was ruled by the Supreme Court that money is speech. That's why you can donate endlessly to political campaigns now, right? Because money is actually speech. Well, crypto creates freedom of money. There's no pattern day trading rules that apply. You can trade as many times as you want. You can send assets pretty much anywhere you want. And it actually gives you a freedom of asset. And that's just something that should have been fundamental to America from day one, in my opinion. We should have always had independence from foreign banks and independence from banks. This stuff was written about by the forefathers, the founding fathers of the country. Was if you give the power of printing currency to the banks, then the land that your grandparents and generations fought for will, whatever the quote is, right? And here we are. And crypto was like invented almost out of necessity, or was it?
It's the next
It what?
evolution of monetary trust. I mean, if you think about what America was built on, it's built. The reason that America's economy has been so successful over the last century is because, other than our tyrannical war, but it's the regulatory environment that businesses operate under. It's that people trust businesses much more in the United States than they do in the rest of the country, in the rest of the world, and vice versa. Businesses, work with consumers. It's just a much better business doing environment to operate under as a consumer and as a business, but it's more difficult as a business. But
So think about this in this land of entrepreneurial opportunity, in the land of capitalism, right? In the land of this trusted business environment and stock market that has all these regulatory things that make it one of the best places to throw your fiat into, right? Why didn't somebody of decision making authority decide that crypto was going to be the future and America was going to use it and capitalize on crypto and digitize the dollar?
Politics. That's why.
Is it politics, or is it the fact that like power wants to just stay in power?
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and power will stay in power until something makes it irrefutable that they have to take action. And I think that's where we're at right now. Coronavirus, this pandemic, the halving of Bitcoin, being that the pandemic started in China. I think it's eerie as we broadcast on full moon and a blue moon on Halloween. Right? It's funny that this whole year has panned out, and it's one for the history books for sure, and one that I know I'll remember. But most importantly, when you're talking about crypto, it's the year that people realize this is something that can no longer be ignored, and it's the year that me individually decided that's it. I don't doubt it anymore, and I'm putting a large percentage of my net worth and life savings into it. And if I'm wrong, I don't see. This is my opinion, right? But I don't see how I can be wrong, and maybe that's the biggest danger. But everything that we've been talking about, the governments and companies and payment processing, everybody's adopting it, and the benefits are so apparent. And the drawbacks were the misunderstanding, the skepticism, the distrust. But Bitcoin, it's a peer-to-peer cashless trust system. The whole reason that it was created was to facilitate trust in transactions. And so you don't need, that's what banks were there for initially, right? Is like America's built on this whole regulatory trust, do business environment. Well, Bitcoin is only adding to that level of transparency and trust. And so, to me, it seems like there is no way forward but to adopt this. And when it happens, it's going to be like the internet. Really, this is the internet. ETH calls it, Web
Yeah.
3.0 development. And
So the way that I look at it personally is everybody's appetite for risk is different. Everybody has different hobbies, right? Everybody, some people have 401ks, for example. In a day and a half, I will be 100 days sober from alcohol. My personal alcohol habit was $20 a day. That's about $600 a month. So what I'm personally doing is taking the same amount of money that I would throw into an endless pit of nothing but bottles, right, poison into my system. I'm going to take that same amount and I'm going to invest in digital currencies. What's the worst that could happen, right? Formerly, I would be hurting my liver, hurting my health, right? Wasting $600 a month, bare minimum, right? That's before. Now I'm taking that money with the same assumption that every dollar that I put into crypto may very well vanish,
And you're still better off. And yeah,
and I'm still better off. I'm still healthier. I'm still a better person, and I'm learning, and I'm engaged in technology, and I'm learning how to code, and I'm expanding my mind, and I'm meeting people, and we've created another community, and we're creating everything around the YouTube channel where we can bring like-minded people together that understand the same principles that we're talking about. We're not looking to sell that we. We're not putting chart analysis out there where, oh, the price is going to go here, the price is going to go here, like we used to do, which drained me. It's just about bringing together like-minded people who have the same philosophies in life, because this is kind of a way of life now. And I think the earlier that people accept it, the better off. And I'm not, like I said, everybody's appetite for risk is different, but I do believe that adoption of digital currency is not different. I believe that that's something that people need to take for granted, that this is going to be the future. Now, how much you invest is a whole different conversation, if you invest at all. But recognizing that this is the future, that should be universal. That's how I
couldn't
feel.
I couldn't agree more, man. I'm in a similar situation where I look at it the same way, right? Like my money that I put in crypto for the most part is money that I would spend on frivolous things like drinking also, and but I also put more, some of my savings account in crypto. And again, I think it's a perfect segue to tie in like how you're talking about risk. And my risk appetite is high, and I'm pretty, still a fairly young guy. And so for me, it's I I have not I look at it as there's not that much to lose, and what am I losing? It's just this dollar. It's a dollar, right? And I think it's so interesting how all of these things tie together. I really feel this has been the year of like waking up, right? Like it's just about like us stopping drinking and putting that money into crypto, and then crypto mooning weeks after we start the channel, revamp the channel. It's just been something's going on, and
Yeah,
not to be
something's
all
definitely
woody
going on.
hoo, but it
Yeah,
is Halloween, so
something's definitely going on. And look, man, if I could have taken a bet on just how 2020 was going to turn out, to
I've
think that
taken
we
the
would
under.
both be, yeah, to think that we'd both be sober and we'd both be trying to make a community again, and you kind of spearheading the videos and putting a lot of time and effort into that, and them being received very well. Me taking a little bit of time to build some things around it originally. Now things kind of coming together, and just the whole grand scheme of things. I mean, it just feels like, man, it's just very organic.
It
We're
feels
here
right.
organic.
Feels right this
Yeah,
time.
it just feels right. It just feels right. We're here organically, and there's no really profit motive. We're just trying to share a hobby, and we're trying to find people like us. And man, I mean, it's just it's crazy, very crazy.
Yeah, dude. I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. So I don't know. Did you have anything else you wanted to say? I mean, I know we weren't even planning on recording this, but you better believe I did. If you guys have been listening here we're coming up on a half an hour. If you haven't hit that subscribe button now, I know you did, but if you haven't, we would love to have you join our Discord. Or you can check out our current website, seems-legit.com. TBD on a new domain. We're working on that, but yeah, we love to hear what you guys think in the comments. And I mean, ultimately, we really want to start like we've been saying. This is an organic growth community, and it has been since day one. And I've been blown away by how much success we've had in these last month or two. So
Yeah, even and look, there's parts of this recording that we can't use because I cursed, and I don't think we even planned. Like I said, we didn't even plan to record this, so I can't think of a more genuine. I mean, we really didn't plan to record this, so
No,
I
I
can't think
didn't.
of a more genuine, um, just message that we could share, if we do even decide to upload this. But just as organically has everything come into place to even get to this point, here we are in this organic recording on Halloween, right? So that's all I have, dude. As always, good to talk to you, man. Anybody listening, anybody watching, if we do decide to upload this, definitely join the Discord channel. We're looking to have conversations. Some of the best conversations I've had are with strangers that I've met. I haven't felt the way that I've felt, um, you know, just from technology and connecting with people since I was like a teenager. But crypto has done that. So, any like minded people that are looking to expand their knowledge, definitely join the Discord, subscribe to the channel, and we will keep the content coming. That's all I got.
Thanks for checking out DeFi Daily, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.